So we've got, coming on stage, we've got Steve Grimshaw, who's CEO of Caliber Collision Centres. We've got Steve Leal, who is the president and CEO of Fix Auto World. And we've got Ayhan Dayoğlu, who is CEO of Auto King. So let me invite the guys onto the stage, Steve, and Ayhan. Please, a round of applause. You crept in behind me there. Hi, Steve. Hi, Steve. So now they're bringing in the vodka. Yeah? Okay, thanks. So let's kick off. If you wouldn't mind, we'll go down the row and just give a little bit of a couple of minutes overview of your business and what's happened in the last few years and where you are today. And then we'll head to the questions. So Steve, do you want to start? Give us an introduction.
Are you starting with the youngest one first?
Yeah, okay.
No offense, guys. No, Fix Auto, as people not familiar with it, it's a 25-year-old company. It was founded in Quebec, Canada. I've been with the organization since 2006. I joined as a franchisee of the organization. Over the time, I was able to seize the opportunity to become the developer of certain regions in the Canadian market in 2008 and expanded into 3 provinces. Eventually, then I seized the opportunity to do a buyout of the Canadian operation. After that, I seized the opportunity after that to take the global rights of Fix Auto back. At that time, we were amalgamating all these companies. We see an opportunity in the collision space, and one of the things that is always true to my heart, we hear about all this consolidation and situations for poor body shops. For me as a franchisee, when I joined, I bought my first body shop as an independent shop. I felt the organizations didn't have the best interests of the body shop owner and the entrepreneur spirit, so that's why I seized the opportunity to take over the Fix Auto organization. As well as I realized I'm not the richest guy in the world to compete against this landscape, so I was looking for a strategic partner, and we were able to get a strategic partner in the Case Depot placement out of Quebec. Is an organization that invests in Quebec-based companies as well, that believes in the entrepreneur. And I sold a minority stake in that, and it helps us give us the opportunity to keep acquiring and moving forward. The Quebec-based fund, Case Depot, is a $271 billion fund. It's a very powerful fund for us that helps us around the world. When we brought them on board, then right away we started doing some acquisitions. You've probably seen recently in the last couple of years. We also decided to go in different verticals into the mechanical space. We bought Speedy Auto Service. We bought the North American rights of the Speedy Auto Service, not the European. At the same time, you probably see last week we're going off into the glass business. We bought Novus Glass Group of companies, which is 11 glass companies in there, as we believed in the automotive aftermarket space. As going to be on the ecosystem as you talk about it, the OEs are going to need on the aftermarket space, I think, more sophistication, and I think the integration between the aftermarket and the OE has to improve. So if you look in the value of a life of a vehicle, the aftermarket space is just as important as the OE space. I think it's the sophistication to bring it up and investing in entrepreneurs. I believe on the aftermarket side, between collision, mechanical, and glass, we're able to provide the corporate environment, but harnessing the entrepreneur spirit. And that's at the core of a value of our company, that we like the entrepreneur spirit. We feel in a customer service business, having invested interest at the front, is emotionally attached to his customer base, is able to provide a better service and outcome, and be more agile as a company for us to move forward.
Okay, brilliant. Ayhan, please tell us a little bit about Auto King.
Auto King was established in year 2001 in Turkey. So at the beginning, the aim was to repair, parts. I mean, the small parts, bumpers and headlights, something like that. And after some time, we decided to enter the insurance business, and we created a product for the insurance companies. So now our product, which is covering some small damages free of charge to the customer, is embedded in the insurance policies. And almost, 80% of the insurance, providers are using our services since, year 2000 to 2003. A company was acquired, 50% of the company was acquired in year 2013 by a private equity fund called Pera Capital. And then after 2 years, the first acquisition, the second part of the company was also acquired by another fund called EMF Capital, London-based private equity company. So since that time, so we try to increase the number of the products we are providing to our customers, because micro repair side of the business is a little bit blocked for us, because we had 80% market share. Because of that reason, we try to change the direction of the company to mid to large repairs. And in addition to that, we also added some mechanical services, periodic maintenance services, car care services, and the tire services to our lineup as well. So actually, we are based in 44 cities of Turkey, and we have almost 50 outlets in the country. Last year, the car that we have serviced, number of the cars serviced reached to 150,000, and the parts reached to 180,000. So we have 120 mobile vans that we are picking up the mobile parts and the delivery of those parts, and we have 120,000 square meter covered area, and more than 1,500 people working in the environment at the moment. So this is what we are doing basically in Turkey.
Great, thank you very much. Steve.
Caliber was founded in 1997, so we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. I joined in September of 2009. At that time we were, you want me to restart? Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
So this is our 20th anniversary. I joined in September of 2009. We had 68 locations doing about $284 million in revenue, U.S. Today we operate, and we were in 2 states. Today we operate in 17 states, the District of Columbia. We have 503 shops, puts our revenue just north of $2 billion U.S. We're 57% owned by a group called OMERS, the Ontario Municipal Employee Retirement System. They're a private equity arm. 25% owned by Leonard Green Partners. They made a minority investment in us in February of this year. And the remaining 18% is owned by the employees. We average about 4.2 million in revenue per shop, and we have 10,600 team members as of today.
Wow, so I think the first question for you all, and Steve, I'll start with you. You've all seen tremendous growth. How have you managed that? And really, what I'm asking you is the culture of the business. You're growing, there's new people coming on board. How do you keep the culture within the business? What's been the biggest challenge there, and how have you done it?
Yeah, so that is as a CEO of any company that's growing and scaling at our pace, that is your hardest job. And it's to put it in perspective, at the end of 2013, we had 157 locations. So you've more than tripled in size, and maintaining and putting the Caliber culture is very, very, very difficult. Yeah. So what we ended up doing is we spend a tremendous amount of time, effort, and energy investing in our personal development programs. So we have about $10 million annually that we invest, and we have a 1-day Camp Caliber, we have a 2-day Owner's Manual Intensive, which is our playbook, we have a 3-day Platinum training, and we have a 4.5-day Leadership in High Gear. Every single new team member goes through those training programs, and as they progress through the organization, all the way to once you get to be a manager or a manager in training, the Leadership in High Gear. And what I've seen is that's the best catalyst for us to maintain the Caliber culture at the pace that we're growing today. Quite frankly, without that, I think it would be a very, very difficult task.
Yeah, and that echoes really what we heard first thing this morning from Alex about the people that you're facing.
It's all
Yeah.
about the people at
Yeah.
the end of the day.
So Steve, coming to you, with the franchise model that you have, what's the challenges for you in that?
You know, what we bring in now is we realize over the years is training these owners. It's just taking it to the next level. We spend a lot of time with the owners, coaching and teaching them on the business analytics, on educating them on our systems. We built our own internal system that manages kind of, typical, they say KPIs, but a lot of times when you have all these KPIs for these store owners, you have all this data, and we call it almost analysis paralysis, and it's too complex for them, right? So we kind of, in a way, dumbing it down, saying if you focus on these parts, you'll be able to improve your business, and we did a very good job at that, and I think, our owners are feeling the benefit of it, but now we just have to take it a level further, and we're investing in training centers to actually spend more time with the technicians. So all of our focus was really on the business owners and the front office staff. We never really spent too much time on the technicians, and you have to realize is bring them on the same journey that we bring the frontline workers to, and sometimes we forget about that. And they're part of that ecosystem, and I think our shift now is shifting now to focus on the back, to making sure that they understand that they're integral part of this repair process, because when you want a customer coming in there, you want to have the trust and the image and how they talk to customers coming through the back. We have to educate the technicians. A lot of times we don't focus enough on the education for the technicians on the human aspect of it. They get in an accident, it's a traumatic situation, it's a very emotional thing for a customer. And sometimes you bring them to the back of the shop and the technician doesn't understand his impact on that result. So you could have everything else very good, and then the technician can ruin your whole experience, which in turn then it doesn't give you a good image onto the brand, right?
Yeah, okay. Ayhan, your comments?
Actually, one of the most important thing is to develop the system is training. So I mean, I think that there are two sides of training. The first side is the technical training, and the second side of the training is the non-technical part. So I mean, in the morning, Chris told us that 13% of the 13% of the workshops are following the procedures in the body repair services. So because of that reason, the technical side of the business is very important. In order to increase the know-how and the knowledge of the technicians, we in Auto King also have an academy. So I mean we are establishing technical trainings in order to develop the technicians knowledge. And in addition to that, I mean, there are lots of small workshops in Turkey. So I mean they want to be a part of Auto King, and also when they want to be part of Auto King, their main issue is to get more customers, and they want to be a part of an identity in a very fragmented market. So because I mean, you just I want to say that we have almost 68,000 workshops in Turkey. So I mean that there are plenty of small workshops. They want to separate themselves. They want to be a part of a big environment. So in Turkey, we have also another problem, another barrier, which is language. So I mean, because most of the technicians cannot speak in English, that's why they cannot approach, they cannot, take the information which is available in foreign language. That's why we need to find the sources for those people and translate them into Turkish, then train them. This is one of the biggest issue for us, because I mean if you don't do it, so unfortunately there will be no difference between our technicians and the technicians in the in the market. So the most important thing is to satisfy the customer, because we promise a satisfaction to the customer, different satisfaction to the customer. We give high standards, and high standards starts from the workshop. That's why this is the most important thing. And the second part is this is related with the sales process as well, because we are generating the lead to the workshops, but at the end of the day, it's a conversion business. So in order to convert more, then we need to train the salespeople as well. And, the managerial side of the business is also another thing. So this is also very
So
important.
it sounds like, you're all saying the same thing. It has to be top to bottom. There can be no weak link in the chain when you're delivering the service.
Yeah, one thing that we try to change in the culture is telling them that we're not in the B to B business or B to C. I said it's H to H. We're the human business. And they have to educate everyone on the team that, where there's a human side. I always give them an example. If you have a complaint and you call a call center, and you're telling your complaint, and the first thing instead of, okay, give me your policy number or this is that, they're really not listening to the customer, right? So the customer, in a sense, instead of actually being the human side, saying to him, are you okay, right? So a lot of times you see the interactions. So just try to teach the staffing that, the human business.
Yeah. Okay, just switching the topic a little bit now. All you guys in your business, you repair all brands, correct? So what's going to be the challenge? We've heard it a lot. You go to any conference or you read it in the press, this challenge of being able to ultimately, in the future, repair all makes with the technology that's coming in the vehicles. How do you see that playing out for you in terms of investment? We talked a little bit about the training, but what about all the technical investment? What about all the different systems in the different brands? Is it going to be sustainable for you guys to repair all makes in the future? I'll start with you, Steve. Yeah.
Sure. I would say what we experience, depending on the country and the OE sophistication of that country, I would say at that point we're trying to educate them. It doesn't make sense to see a competitive advantage of having this MIG welder approved from this MIG welder in a body shop. It doesn't make any sense, or economies of scale. It doesn't improve anyone. So I think as the OEs should be coming together is when you're repairing a car to uniform what kind of equipment needs. One thing is it's training specific on there, but there's no sense in buying this rivet gun here is approved by Ford and this one's not. So I think to help OEs, to help on the ecosystem, or else you're going to drive expenses into it, is to normalize on the equipment needed to repair these vehicles will definitely help, I think, with people being able to repair the cars, right, in a sense.
Steve, what's your view?
Yeah, the answer is yes, we will be able to, but not the way we do it today. So what you see in our industry is everyone tries to do everything under the same roof today, and I don't believe that model is sustainable moving forward. If one of the things we've been looking at and have started to implement is really creating what we call premium capacity by segmenting repairs. So in Caliber today, if you have a job that's 20 hours or less, you'll most likely go to an express repair facility or an express repair lane. If you have a non-drive, you will go to one of our heavy hit centers, which also will have all of the aluminum capabilities, structural capabilities, and they'll have every piece of equipment necessary to fix any type of car. If it's a Highline vehicle, you'll go to one of our dedicated Highline facilities. So the point being is we're making the investments to be able to repair any type of vehicle, but we're having to dedicate facilities specifically to do that. Part of the challenge is the insurance carriers recognizing that there's big investments and it takes different levels of skills to perform these repairs. And at some point in time, you're not going to be able to do all of the work for the same price. And I think that's the trend that you're going to see as well.
That was going to be my next question. We've already discussed
I don't want to talk about pricing, so I'll leave it at that.
No, but we've already discussed about the investment needed in skills. We're now talking the investment in technology. These are aircraft now. They're not cars. Are these, is there going to come a point where we have to recognise that we're going to have to pay more for repairs? What's your view?
It eventually comes to like supply and demand, right? And I think as the industry becomes less fragmented and bigger kind of consolidators, you might have what I call segmented repairs. So then you're even taking a level further, like you said, is, the size of repairs, you pay a price for different, eventually you have a technician that can do a big heavy hit. As we repair it, we're going to be paying that technician more versus paying a lower level tech. And when you get that segmentation in there, you're able to price it. And I think the pricing will eventually change itself as you consolidate. But when a market, you say in Turkey, how many body shops?
More than 20,000. So I mean,
When you have 20,000 body
20,000
shops,
body shops, but I mean, small shops
Yeah.
are the 68,000. So
in a free market, you know, it's going to be who wants to do the
Yeah.
repair for that price, right? So I think it's when consolidation, you'll see some changing in the models, I think.
Yeah. Moving on from that, we mentioned earlier, I mentioned to Laurence about this, we heard earlier about brands, protecting your brand and taking the customer on your brand journey. You guys have got strong brands, they're getting stronger. You've got the insurance brand, you've got the OEM brand. You know, how's all that going to play out? Are you going to work together with those guys? Is it going to be a little bit of a fight? How's that going to play out? Ayhan, I'll go to you first on that one.
So actually, the collaboration is very important. So I mean, of course, the competition is always over there. But I mean, if we you know, find a way to make the collaboration, that will be much more you know, useful for everybody within the market. So what I think is that, so I mean, actually in Auto King, our philosophy is that we try to help our competitors. We try to help the, you know, car makers. We try to help the small entities, because I mean, we believe that if we develop those, you know, people all together, so the market will change, and the market change will create some more opportunities for us. So I believe that collaborating with you know, car makers is also a very good opportunity for companies like us, because I mean, most of the time car manufacturers focusing on selling parts, and our philosophy is not to sell parts. We try to, you know, repair the part instead of replacing it. So that's why we can create some collaboration. They don't want to make so many, you know, investment, but they can use our investment as well. So for the insurance companies as well. So I mean, we try to reduce their cost because we are repairing. So I mean, the repairing instead of replacing is the key, you know, bonding issue to make the, you know, development altogether. This is what.
But you think that your brand is something that insurers and OEMs want to be associated with?
So actually, this is what we are doing.
Yeah.
For example, with a very one of the very big, you know, car maker in Turkey, we had some, you know, projects together. So I mean, they want to outsource some of their operations to our, you know, dealers and to our franchises, and also for insurance, we are making some, you know, insurance policies just valid in our workshops. So this type of things can also enable, for example, insurance companies to lower their costs. And also this is same for the car dealers, because their main focus is to increase the customer satisfaction. But at the end of the day, they don't want to, you know, focus on some, you know, services which they are not, you know, very good at. So they can outsource it, then we work together. Then this may eliminate the competition in between, then the competition will turn to a collaboration, so that everybody will be much happier.
Okay. Steve, what's your
Yeah,
take?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, when you look at the operational consistency we deliver for our customers, right? So quality, estimate, accuracy, and cycle time. The level of customer service, our year-to-date Net Promoter Score is just under 86%. And our ability to help manage clients' costs, right? So cycle time, severity, and loss-adjusted expenses. If you are one of the leaders in the industry in those metrics, and obviously we believe we are, absolutely both the OEs and the insurance carriers want to be associated with your brand. You know, 93% of all of our claims today come through the DRP channel, but having said that, you know, we have over 200 dealer relationships nationwide. We have over 24 partnerships with dealers that we actually operate our body shops on their dealership location, and it's because of that reason. When there's a lot of talk about, you know, at the end of the day, we look at what point of influence makes a customer choose a body shop. So is it the OE? Is it the OE influence? Is it the insurance carrier through the DRP channel, or is what you're seeing coming on like gangbusters, is it really the self-serve model that they have access to all of the information and make that decision up front? Our position is we don't care. If it comes through the OE channel, we've got more OE certifications than any other company in the United States. The DRP channel, we have relationships and strategic partnerships with every carrier, and we have an IT platform that already allows us to write estimates online, order parts virtually, and have everything ready by the time the customer shows up. So our position is I don't really care about that battle. I'm just positioning Caliber that wherever it comes from, we're prepared to get that customer.
Steve, you.
You know, I don't, if you realize all the work that comes in from insurance companies, I think what they want for us is what we believe for them is you want a brand. Right? Our industry doesn't have a good image to the general consumer out there. We're not a product that people want. We're a product that someone's trying to market, say like hemorrhoid cream. It's something you really don't want. You don't wake up in the morning and get in an accident, right? So the more we can provide a bigger brand and customer confidence, we actually help the insurance company. Because now he's not referring to Bob's Body Shop, right? So the level of trust goes up. So I think the bigger we get as a brand, it makes it easier for insurance companies to do business with us because you're going to refer to a trusted brand. We all know the general consumer. We're in the business, so we're all passionate about the business side, but you have to realize the general consumer, they don't use our product. They don't come in there buying it, right? They buy insurance, and we're extension of insurance, so they should want our brand, more out there so the general public is more of trust. So they're dealing with not a small garage that doesn't have the resources to fix their car. So the level of trust goes up. So I think the brands are very important. We complement each other. Yeah. So I don't think it's a competition. I think it's to help them, deal with their customer at that time of need. They need a brand. I think it's stronger for them.
Okay, great. So I'm going to look at a few questions that have come in from the audience. And one question that sort of moves on from what you've just said. So will we see the disappearance of the true independent in the long term? And what is that timescale? What do you think? Looking for your opinion.
I think anyone that's investing in the equipment and the training and understands their level of customer service in their 5-mile radius is going to determine their success will be there for as long as they want to be there. What we see is, and I was talking yesterday with someone, over the last 3 years, after we do an acquisition, we spend on average about $284,000 per location to just get it to what I consider Caliber standards. So $100,000 of that, believe it or not, is equipment. And so basically our perception is when you have to remodel, put in our systems, and then put the proper equipment in to do the job, in my opinion, of the cars that are already on site, those are the ones that are going away, right? Because they're not keeping up, especially with the technology in cars today. Anyone that's making the investments in the equipment and the training and providing the customer service, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay. Ayhan.
I mean, what I think is that the price in the market is given right now. So, I mean, we cannot identify what type of price we are going to offer to the customers. That's why our business is becoming a cost management business day by day. So, I mean, if we're talking about the small workshop, and if we are, keeping in mind that the technology is advancing very fastly, so all the small workshop need to find a way to increase their technical ability, which is very, very important and very actually expensive. And approaching to the technical information, and also in order to make good cost management, you need to have a very good collaboration and the agreement with the suppliers as well. So I mean, if you are buying one piece of thing, but I mean we are buying tens of hundreds of things, so that our the prices is much more lower than the small workshops. In order to keep those workshop alive, so they need to approach to technical information, lower cost. And they cannot make it by their own. So, I mean, we are creating economies of scale for those people in order to, run their business properly. That's why I feel that this, individuals will be disappearing in some time, depending on the market. And the independent service chains will be much more, visible in the future.
Steve.
I think consolidation is inevitable. Eventually, you'll get to a point where you have, 5 companies doing 80% of the volume. Same thing's happening on the insurance side, and it depends on the country by country. If you look at Canada, for example, where we started, you have basically 4 organizations doing close to 75% of all the claims going through. So I think the days of the independent, you just can't provide the same scale and services that are needed to service those customers and new innovative products that can come out, right? So I think definitely consolidation is going to keep continuing. I think every country is going to be at different stages of it, but it's inevitable, it's coming. So depending on the country you look at, you can predict as you see it come through, but I said this doesn't make sense, but you always will have what I call niche players. People who really invest in their business and what they call very segment focused on repairs. It could be on a specific brand specializing in that you always will have those guys, but as a general body shop, it's not going to be a prosperous future.
Okay, do we have any questions from the audience? Got anybody? Let's see. Yeah, we've got Chris at the front. Sorry, Chris, it's a long way down. No, it's not working. No. Look, Chris just hold your question. We'll take another one. We've got one from. I'll come back to you, Chris. We've got one here that's come in from the on the app. It is. What's your reaction to Tesla announcing that they will open their own owned collision centres? Is this a technology company saying we're going to get involved in this too? How do you see that?
I think when you have, if you look at Tesla, it's a small OE, it's not mass market vehicle. I think when you have a small OE like that, they're trying to control it.
Yeah.
Once they get to a mass market, it's not controllable for them. It's not scalable in a sense for them. Economically, it doesn't make sense for the OE to do that. So I think in the short term, they do that. In the short term, when they get to scalability, I think it becomes very tough for them to own and operate all their own body shops, right? Okay. We've seen different models of stuff like that. So I think it's a small disruption depending on how big a scale they get.
Okay. Anybody want to comment on that?
I think it's, I wish them luck. It's, it is, look, you look at the dealership collision market in the United States, you have about 6.5 to 7 billion of the 40 billion in revenue is done in dealership body shops. I would tell you about $1.5 billion of that is done extremely well by dealership chains that I would say have made it a core competency and are really good at it. That leaves about 5 billion that do it, but just because they think they need to own the customer relationship. And many times when we come in and buy their body shops, we'll increase the volume, we'll increase the CSI, and the overall experience is better, and we'll purchase parts for them, and we'll pay them a lease as well. So it's a great relationship. If you're going to do it, it needs to be a core competency of yours. You just can't stick your toe in the water and do it just because you feel you need to control the customer. So it's really what their overall strategy is. If they invest in it, they'll do fine. If they're doing it just to own the customer, then they'll probably struggle. Okay.
Chris, have we got you now?
I think so.
Yes.
Steve Grimshaw, you were talking about the emphasis that Caliber places on training your associates. Do you get sort of total buy-in, or do you have to use a sort of stick and carrot approach?
That's a good question. I would say earlier in my career, I probably used more of the stick approach. I'm more of the carrot approach now. Is Part of the training, look, at Caliber, anybody that knows Caliber, our purpose is to restore customers to the rhythm of their lives. And that's for internal and external customers. Externally, we expect to spend as much time focused on restoring a customer back to their pre-accident condition as we do the car back to its pre-accident condition. And that takes a certain set of talent and buy-in from every team member to be able to accomplish that. So part of the training, the reason we invest so much in the personal development training is, do they align with what we need for a Caliber? I would rather hire for attitude and teach skill, which I know is probably not the norm in the body shop industry, but we can teach them the skill. It's just a matter of time and patience and how long it's going to take them to get to that level. So it's much more of the carrot approach, creating the buy-in as early as we can, setting the appropriate expectations from day one, and having the leadership that understands that it is about servant leadership, right? It's not about you. And a lot of people, managers in the body shop industry, believe it is about them and their progress, and they know it all. When you flip it around and they understand, when you invest in your team members and you invest in their success, you will be remarkably more successful as that leader than you would going the other way. So that's what a lot of our training is based on. It's very, very customer-focused, non-body shop training. And again, at the end of the day, it helps us identify whether we have the right candidate that's aligned with what we need as an organization.
Okay, thanks. Got another question from John.
We see Fix Auto World and the I guess the title says it all. They're going for global domination. How does that fit with Caliber? Are we going to see an additional word in the Caliber collision centres?
An additional word as in?
World domination. Well, okay.
No. I think what the internal goal for Caliber Collision is to actually be the category killer in the collision repair business. And what I mean by that is, if you know the definition of a category killer in any industry, it's that you perform at such a level that makes it very difficult, if not impossible, for others to compete against you, right? So, and wherever that leads you, and however fast you can grow, and however fast you can create leaders to support that growth. A lot of people don't realize we don't set targets annually for volume, revenue, or center count growth. Right? What we do is we meet with every individual leader at a region level and review where they are in the development of their teams to determine how to support adding additional locations in their territories. We roll it all up, and that becomes the plan for the year. Right? So it's kind of internally focused, customer focused, and by performing, the growth will come. But I view that as that's just a result of kind of looking at it a little differently.
Okay, thanks. Steve, come to you. We've talked about consolidation, obviously economies of scale that you get with that. What about economies of scope? So you mentioned slight diversification, the glass you mentioned. Is that as a strategy? Just tell us a little bit about that and how you're approaching that and why.
We've had the advantages when you start doing business in multi-countries. As you start seeing things change, what works in North America won't work in Europe, say. You have different companies in Asia and some of these markets. And what we're looking at is there really is no global solution that can provide on the collision, mechanical, and glass that would be able to be a solution, if you think in a sense, for an OE to help and do business with, right? If you want to go into a new country, we're a platform then on the aftermarket side with the 3 pillars that we can become a solution for an OE or an insurance company that can have the level of trust when they go across these countries, right? And we always say is we think global but act local. So we localize on how we go into the countries and respect the cultures of each country, right? So I think for us having those pillars, we become a better solution to serving clients in those countries. And again, we go back to our harnessing of, that's why we believe in the franchising model, what I call a strong franchising model. Everyone's used to hearing about McDonald's and that situation, that control. It's a strong control franchise system. They're able then to get the value of it by having a strong system, but having the entrepreneur that lives in that city or that country that's involved with the community. It's a better fabric, we feel, at our core of the society to providing that integration, of that environment in all the countries we go.
So that'll be a continued strategy
Yes,
for you.
it will be. We'll actively be looking to acquire more companies in each one of these brand lines as we go along and amalgamate into our culture of our company.
Yeah. Ayhan, have you got any plans to go across horizontally and extend? What's your view on that?
Yeah.
At the moment, you're in repair shops.
Yep.
There's other elements. Are you looking at that as well?
Yes. I want to say that we are doing a very emotional business. So, I mean, when the customer has an accident, so he has, bad emotions. So, I mean, when the customer, I believe that when the customer has, bad emotions, and this is something which we need to solve before he had the accident. So because of that reason, we try to add some services into our lineup. We want to expand our scope as much as possible, and so that we can contact to the customer before having an accident. So I mean, during the periodic maintenance, this is necessary, or car care, or tire replacement, or tire, storage. These are the things connecting the customers to our brand. This is what we are thinking. And in case of an accident, okay, customer can say, okay, I can go to AutoKey. So I mean, this is the thing we try to create. Because of that reason, number of the services will be expanded in our lineup. So I mean, we try to create positive emotions in the customer's mind by doing it.
Okay, thanks. So we're reaching the sort of conclusion of the session. I just want to come to each of you and ask you one question, and if you could give me a sort of answer in a couple of sentences. Over the next 3 years, we've seen all this change that's coming, that's happening now. Steve, what's going to be your single biggest challenge in the next 3 years as a business?
Talent.
Okay, that's less than a sentence, but a good answer.
People.
Thanks.
It's all about people.
Yeah, Ayhan?
So I'm also thinking that the biggest challenge is the people. So I mean, finding paint technician, body repair technician is a very, very big problem in our country as well. So I mean, since we cannot find the people, we try to create the people.
Yeah.
With the proper training.
Yeah. And Steve?
It's the same thing. Every country I go to, it's always the same thing as finding the right talented people to be part of the organization. It's a shortage in all the countries we've seen. So people is the hardest thing to get the right people to work on the vehicles.
Okay. So
It's going to end up being everyone's largest investment over the next 5 years is creating your own bench. The trained people do not exist to be able to support the industry moving forward. So I don't know of any MSO in the U.S. that's not actively working on building their own internal bench building programs for both the service advisors as well as the body techs.
Okay, great. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a big round of applause for our panel.